Welcome YouTube, it's Anthony back on Unapologetic Sports. Today we're going to be talking about Kevin Durant. I know I said James Harden was going to be my next video, but ever since I said that, there's been a lot of controversy and a lot of stuff going on in Houston that is just it's too much to talk about. So once something happens with James Harden and the whole Houston situation, whether he gets traded to the Nets or any other team like the Sixers or something like that, or if he stays in Houston, whatever happened, then we'll make that video then. But right now we're talking about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, I've been a fan of Kevin Durant ever since like 2011, 12, whatever. I'm not really knowing the time frame or whatever, but he's a player who his legacy, and I'm gonna talk about Kawhi too in my next video. His legacy is like, when you think of players like you look at a player like LeBron. He has so many accolades, so many achievements. He's so high on this list, that list, that. Kevin Durant's not really up there on those lists per se, because Kevin Durant's like 33, I think, 32, 33. I don't know his age, but he is one of the most, if not the most, elite scorer the game has ever seen. You know, when I think of greatest scorers of all time, I'm gonna put Kobe number one. Not because Kobe's not number one on all time scoring list. That's Kareem, but Kobe's the best scorer of all time. Kevin Durant, well, no, Kobe's the greatest scorer of all time. Kevin Durant's the best scorer of all time. Cause you look at a player like Kevin Durant, 7 feet tall, mid range, got that. 3-pointer, got that. Dunk, got that. Layup, got that. He can score on every single part of the court, and he does it with ease. It looks like, I'm talking about easily. Just, I've never seen a player that can score that easy. Like, no matter what shot you give him, he's gonna get a bucket. But you know, he's a player like, okay, when I think of a player like James Harden, when I say someone talks about me about James Harden is a walking 40 piece. For a simple fact that he's gonna put up a lot of shots and he can get 40, you know, almost any single night. Kevin Durant could do the same thing. Kevin Durant could probably get 50 every night. You know, it's moments. I remember that I think it was last year with the Warriors when Curry was injured a little bit, Clay was injured, Draymond was injured, and he was kind of just like playing by himself. Really, he had all the role players, and it was a game against Toronto, and I think they ended up losing that game in overtime. But Kevin Durant dropped 50, and like, I think his career high is only 53 or something like that. You know, he doesn't have the highest career high, you know, but he's one of the best scorers of all time. And one thing about Kevin Durant's legacy is that people are going to tarnish and, you know, really hate on his career once it's said and done because of what he did in 2016 going to the Warriors. And I see it like this. If the Warriors would have won the championship, Kevin Durant would have never went over there. Because they lost, he went. And I personally, in that 2016 season, I had the Thunder winning that championship. I had them beating Golden State, which they were up 3-1. My prediction almost came through. True. Had them beating Golden State, and then I had them beating Cleveland, which I think OKC probably would have beat Cleveland, because I don't think they had as many holes as the Warriors did as far as like matchups against LeBron and Kyrie. But you know, that's 4 years ago. We're not gonna talk about that right now, but yeah, Kevin Durant's career, like, no one's gonna really give him the respect he deserved because he went to Golden State, and I don't think that's fair. In all honesty, I don't think that's fair at all, because you know, you have to respect that it is a championship. I understand all championships aren't made equally. People will say this championship LeBron just won is more valuable than both of Kevin Durant's championships combined, and I think a championship is still a championship, even though the Warriors had one of the greatest teams ever assembled as far as talent goes. You know, like, you had to, you know, value those championships at least to some degree. Yeah, Kevin Durant, it's so easy for him to score and so easy for him to do whatever he wants on the court. He became much better of a defender. And then I'm really interested to see how he does in Brooklyn, because coming off an Achilles injury for most players is, you know, their career is never the same. I'm pretty sure Boogie had DeMarcus Cousins had tore his Achilles. I think that was the first one, the first injury that really, messed his career up to this point. And you know, at that point when he tore his Achilles, well, before he tore his Achilles, he was the best center in the game, and now he's not even a top 50 player. He didn't even play last year. I forgot what team he signed with. Was it the Lakers? I think it was the Lakers. But he never was the same after that injury. One thing about Boogie, he was a very athletic player. Kevin Durant doesn't really rely on his athleticism. You don't need athleticism to shoot a jump shot, especially considering that he's 7 feet. He can shoot over anybody just off of his size. He don't really have to jump for his jump shots. If someone, I'm trying to think of a player that, like, what's a player that was super athletic that tore their Achilles? Was it John Wall? I don't see John Wall coming back the same way John Wall was, because John Wall was a very athletic point guard. He was fast. He had bounce. All that kind of stuff. He's gonna be a great passer still, like he was before. But with Kevin Durant, it was just a jump shot. That's all he needed, was to shoot that Jimmy. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what he does in Brooklyn, especially teaming up with Kyrie. And then I don't think they're gonna get James Harden. I don't want to see James Harden there. It would be interesting to see, but as a James Harden fan, I would not want to see James Harden playing in Brooklyn, for the simple fact that how are they gonna afford all those people? They can't afford all three of them. And then, like, people say how there's only one ball. I thought they would make it work in a way, but I feel like at the same time, you can't have all three of them on the court at the same time. Kyrie and KD, I feel like it could work. James Harden and KD, I feel like it could work. Kyrie and James Harden, I don't really know, but all three of them together, I'm not sure. I think egos will come into a part, because I think James Harden has a big ego. When he went to Houston, he didn't have that ego, but now he has that ego. But we're not gonna talk about James Harden right now for real. But yeah, with all three of them on the court, I mean, Kevin Durant is not really going to be. I don't think he's going to be too worried about getting the ball, because he's coming off the injury. He's trying to, get himself back in basketball shape. Back in the motions of things. But once he is in those motions, I mean, I feel like Kevin Durant will still be the best player on that team, even if they had James Harden. That's pretty much all I have to say about Kevin Durant. My next video is probably gonna be about Kawhi Leonard, maybe Stephen Curry. I'm gonna get to all these players, and then as of right now, this is gonna be the first video today. I'm gonna upload another one today. That might be the Stephen Curry video or Kawhi Leonard or whatever, and then I'm gonna put my top 15 players in the league list. I wanted to wait until free agency, but that doesn't mean anything when it comes to the top 15 players. I was going to do top 10, but I think 15 is a better gauge, because, there's a lot of people that are so close to that top 10 but might get left out. But that's it for the video. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Make sure you share it with a friend. And that's it. This has been Anthony from Unapologetic Sports.